So at the current time, we're keeping track with what has come in, so we don't have there's some cities where they have huge amounts that they owe.
What, we don't want a $1 million liability?
No.
Not for, maybe wait till I retire. So, give it a few dozen years.
Young.
There's a lot of forward employees.
So capital reserve goals, each department's goal for capital reserve is based on their potential future need. Capital reserves are restricted. These funds can only be used with board approval and corporate resolution, as we discussed before. Again, this is all based on the 2019 district reserve policy. The initial goal for the fire department is $200,000. Lighting is $50,000. Water, or wastewater and water, $500,000 apiece. Those numbers are subject to change by board resolution, and they should be adjusted either annually or on a frequent basis to make sure that we are meeting our needs. As we're meeting those goals, we should be upping those numbers to match what we really need. In reality, $500,000 doesn't buy a whole lot of water.
Kelly, where does the liability, let me think, where does the vehicle replacement fund money go?
Write your question down, and at the end we're going to go back through it.
Oh, okay. And it's not there.
So,
Why don't you just make a note that way?
so those numbers that I'm going past myself here. So these reserve goals are based on water and sewer, mainly based on infrastructure repair. Fire department is mainly based on vehicles. Currently, as of 31st anyway, the district has roughly $1,326,214.08 in cash.
8 cents.
8 cents. Rounded everything but this one apparently.
I like it.
The investments, we have $142,320.07 with a grand total of $1,468,534.15. Again, this is as of the 31st.
Leave no penny behind.
We want that penny accounted for.
Yes.
Right. Penny saved is a penny earned. That's what I always thought. Current operating account balance is fire is $212,912, lighting $200,409. Wastewater is a mere negative $80,343. Water is winning at a negative $439,744. And solid waste has $86,969. So that is the daily operating money. You can see that water has a problem.
Water has a drinking problem.
Huh?
Water has a drinking problem.
Well, at least that would be an explanation. So current operating reserve to stabilization account balances, operating reserve goals, again, are to be 6 months of operating cash, stabilization 33% of operating cash, operating budget rather. So these are the operating reserve goal versus, or operating reserve actual versus the goal, and stabilization reserve actual versus the goal. So for fire is meeting its reserve goal, lighting is meeting its reserve goal, water or wastewater and water are not meeting the reserve goals, and solid waste is meeting its reserve goal. Current debt service account, again, we only have the one. It's funded to $66,917, which is its current requirement. Current capital reserve account balances. Again, this is the capital reserve actual versus the goal.
We need fireworks at this point.
So the fire department is exceeding its goal by roughly 41,000, lighting by 20,000. Wastewater is actually almost meeting its goal, it's only about 110,000 short. Wastewater is actually negative 279,000,
Water.
268.
Water.
What did I say?
You said
Wastewater. Water.
I said wastewater
You
was
flipped
meeting its
them.
goal. Oh,
Okay.
You're trying to share your dad, that's right.
I think we should start over, like from the beginning.
yay!
Back to page one.
So solid waste doesn't have the capital reserve goal because it doesn't have
Badge.
any facilities at this point. Eventually, when we move into more recycling type operations, then it may have some sort of facilities, but really all the thing solid waste has is it gets to pay for part of little employees and has 8 trash cans. So it's not really working very hard. Current investment account, the current district has 1 investment account. The current investment account was bought out by lighting from all the other funds, so those funds were transferred back to the other funds from lighting to pay for that. So essentially lighting has an investment worth $142,000 and $320. Okay, so now we're at the end of that. So I'm gonna step out. You ask Rob all your questions.
Sorry, President Sangster. So at this time, we're gonna go back, and if you'll use the format of all your questions, and then we'll allow our audience to go on per page, because I know Ms. Bowman has a lot of questions. I want to give her the opportunity to
Okay.
answer.
Do you wanna do
Page by page?
page by page, board, and then public comment?
Well, if you guys had questions, I hope you were able to take questions down. You have questions for each one. Would you prefer to address them that way?
I mean, it seems.
I would need it to be board public comment.
Right, on each page?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I know it sounds tedious, but I think it'd be most effective
I
when
think
we
we
can
can do quick.
get
I
through it
think
that way.
it's fine. I think it's fine.
Okay.
So for those of you who aren't aware, in the lower right-hand corner, there is a number.
Wow, some.
Number
Not
2.
on my
computer. On the far right-hand side at the bottom of the gray line.
Yeah, you can't really see it on the screen, but if you have a paper copy, it's right here.
So we go to page 3 and basically start from there.
Yes. Do we have?
I'm kidding. Stop it.
Does anybody have questions on page 2?
That scares me.
You got questions on page?
That is just a presentation.
Okay, come on. Word 3.
So,
Page on page 2. We got public comment on page 2? Seeing none. Page 3, we
Anybody?
have board comment. Board questions.
Just real quick, the long-term maintenance portion, those funds are separated based on where they came from and what they're for, through Black Mountain.
so all funds are separated by where they came from and where they belong in Black Mountain.
That's my only question.
These 6 accounts are basically 6 sections here is where all the money is. So we have essentially those accounts and, or actually, those and one more for debt service. But that's where all the actual money is, and then it's all separated in Black Mountain.
So it's a long term.
It's by allocations in Black Mountain for each account.
So each physical account is separated in Black Mountain
Allocations.
by department.
Department, right.
So then when something's, a long-term maintenance need is identified, you take it out of appropriate account for whatever that's.
So like for instance, the long-term maintenance for the treatment plant is obviously wastewater. The money for that is coming from wastewater.
Got it.
We have the CPN follow here too for questions, so.
Are there other board comments or questions on page 3?
Mine was just for the investment, it's just, the only investment we have is the lighting for 142.
So originally, the investment that we have through Cantella it was funded through the general administration account, or administration department. That one no longer exists, but when that was funded, it was funded at a percentage of each department. So based on that percentage, it's been bought out by lighting to have a sole department investment.
Just for.
So that one's just in lighting. And that decision was made because lighting doesn't have any immediate need for that money.
Okay.
So it's not going to be hindered. And as far as I understand, it just went into a 5-year CD.
So there's 2 CDs. We got one that was a 5-year, and then we sold one, bought it back into a 5-year, so both of them will mature at the same period of time. And as Kelly stated, when we talked about it, lighting didn't have a need for that money, that was investment. But because there was that much for each fund invested, the other funds basically can't afford to have that money tied up, and rather than cash out the CDs, it was easier for lighting to buy it. It's basically held there as the investment, and now those funds are available in the other funds to balance our accounts.
So when the investments mature, if we didn't want to reinvest the money, and it was gonna go back to the CSD, would it have to go to lighting?
Well, lighting owns it all and as of now.
They cashed out everybody else.
Yes.
Took it over.
Lighting bought it basically from the other funds, because the other funds didn't, some of them didn't have the money to leave, to sit, they needed the money.
Right.
So, instead of cashing out the CDs and lighting had the funds, to me, it made the most sense because they were already invested and they were good rates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was easier to get the money for the funds that were short, does that make sense?
If it does, is there what I said, is there something that we as a district would spend that money, a matured investment on with regards to lighting? Or will it always just stay a perpetual investment?
No, once they mature, then we have a full opportunity to, either reinvest or cash them out or
Identify
reserve.
where we need to spend that money.
So that in the future, in lighting, lighting makes enough money to support itself with very little effort. So the likelihood of us needing all of that money is pretty little. The most likely scenario would be if it did mature and decided that we wanted to put in, decorative streetlights down to the mission, then we would take that money out and we could use that money to put in the decorative streetlights all the way down to the mission. The most likely scenario would be in some sort of additional streetlights like that, or because those decorative streetlights are our responsibility, they're not PG&E maintained. If we bought equipment to maintain those for some reason.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of reasons we would pull it out, but those are the kinds of things that we would take it for.
Does that
Tamara points out a valid point too, we're also liable for maintenance, repair, replacement for damaged structure in the lighting, and it's available there for that too.
Okay. What's that, Kelly, you're gonna buy a boom truck?
I prefer not to, but theoretically we could. If we had enough of our own streetlights, then we could potentially buy one. They're kind of a maintenance headache.
But then you would have to adjust the lights at the picnic plant.
Yeah, I'm holding out on that.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, is there any other board comment on page 3?
Yeah, so this would also fund all the LEDs lights that we're trying to get out there.
So the LED lights that we're trying to do in this next fiscal year are budgeted through the regular revenue from property tax.
I have comments with regard to that. I'm gonna hold it off for the next section of the report.
Okay.
So, public.
Any public comment on page 3?
Just one question, and it's kind of on this page, but it's not on this page, but we talked about it. So lighting bought out everybody else, and those funds were distributed. Did they go back to the investment funds for that individual department? Did they go into the operational funds for that department? Did they go into payroll? Where did those monies go? Because in my opinion, I guess they should have went back to investment or reserve, rather than.
So they were accounted for in the reserve, so the capital reserve. Because most of that money was originally set aside for capital improvement, so that's where it was accounted for with the redistribution of that money.
And whatever the percentages were, 16, 20, whatever. Thank you.
Okay, so on that same topic, when that went back in, well, maybe it wouldn't show yet in the reports, would it? Because that last report is from March, so Did that happen by then?
So it's still in process, the actual transfer of all the money.
Okay, so it hasn't shown up in the report. Okay, because I was wondering about the fund transfers that took place before, that wasn't part of it.
That wasn't part of what we're talking about today.
Okay, that helps. And the other question I have on that page, that I haven't asked already is, the operating account, you're referring to is the operating balances in the report, the financial summary, and the one that's in the last page of the other report. That's the operating budgets, or the operating account. So it shows a separate operating account for each department, right?
It shows them separated on that report. They were all in the same account.
These are bank accounts.
They're bank accounts, right?
So-
They're each separate bank accounts, I
So
thought.
that report you just had in your hand,
Uh-huh,
those are not separate bank accounts. So all the operating side is all the same account. The capital side is all the same account.
They're separated in black mountain.
They're separated in the computer.
oh. Well, I was led to believe that there were separate bank accounts for the separate departments to ensure that those funds were separated.
That's not currently the case.
Okay, and then my other question, well, never mind, that's not supposed to be now.
Okay. Any other public comment on page 3?
You will get the answer to that.
Moving on, page 4.
Yeah.
You have board comment or questions on page 4? Any public comment on page 4?
Scott, already? Page 4?
My same question, where is the money? It's not separate accounts.
I'll highlight that.
You can tell me how it is, it's in the,
Well, all the operating money, so the operating account holds the operating daily funding for the district. So the property tax, the user fees, that's in the operating account. So for all of the departments, it's in the operating account. It's separated in Black Mountain. So the report you have there is separated by Black Mountain to how much they spent, how much they received to come up with a total.
Okay, because my concern, is it okay if I ask?
yes.
My concern is, okay, I see 2 accounts in the red. And